My name is Letlhokwa George Mpedi, Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Johannesburg. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the High Tea with the VC. The conversation described my guest today as a South African legend whose music spans generations. He is, amongst others, a drummer, saxophonist, composer, activist, and anthropology student. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I'm in heaven because today I'm bringing tea with one man who inspired me as a child and as an adult, Ntate Hotstix Mabuse. Thanks for setting time aside to brew tea with me, and welcome home.
Thank you so much, Prof. I mean, this is a very big surprise for me.
Wow.
I must trust that, you know, your introduction is was unexpected, I must say.
Yeah.
You know, we get inspired by other people, and I strongly believe that, you know, the more we interact with people, they inspire us. Thank you very much for inviting me to have tea with.
Yes, and thanks for honoring the invitation. A lot of people may be surprised when I say welcome home. Ntate Mabuse is a special person here and a regular at UJ.
Yes.
In 2018, I was there.
Yes.
You know, the UJ Council honored you with the Ellen Kuzwayo Award for your outstanding contribution to African arts and culture. So this is your home, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to start by talking about tea and music because a lot of people know I'm a tea lover, and some may be wondering why is the Vice Chancellor today, you know, talking about music and tea, and people may be wondering what is the connection. The truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that there's a strong connection between tea and music, and I'm so glad that I can talk about this with a legend, you know, while we're brewing tea, and then also at the same time looking at music and its influence. And I'll tell you, Aidan Miles Jimson wrote in 2019 in a piece with the title Relations, Music and Tea. And I want to quote what he said just to underscore this point that I'm making. Open quote, Aidan said, "Tea is music. Music is tea. Music allows for one to consume and experience and taste the beverage of song, piece, or melody through what the listener experiences in the act of listening. Tea creates a narrative in itself, allowing for one making tea to become immersed in creation. As Lao Tzu would say, music and tea always ignores that and chooses this. Both allow for the listener or consumer to not be distracted by the past or the future, but to choose this or the current moment, which blossoms forth into the experience of the drink. Tea and music are old friends. They complement each other like a crumbly lemon biscuit and Earl Grey. Tea has many characteristics of great music like beauty, experience. Music has many semblances of tea. The act of interpretation, perfecting the brew of a certain piece, and most importantly, enacting beauty within form or the tea itself. Tea creates music. I know, crazy, right? Music is tea, close quote. What is your favorite tea?
Well,
or do you drink tea?
I do. Oh, I drink tea. I drink tea a lot. I am a tea lover. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do drink coffee every morning.
Yeah.
But I drink tea most of the time.
Yeah.
But you know, listening to how poetic the description of what tea is like. Yeah. Obviously, these people have drank so many different types of teas to be able to express tea the way they have done.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm quite interested and quite keen now to even more explore tea drinking.
Yes.
And I've noted also that the Chinese have got all kinds of teas. They make teas for all kinds of things, remedial and so on. So that's quite profound and poetic.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I do drink tea, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm glad because I'm also a big tea drinker. In my opening remarks, I talked about you and your music giving us hope. And I know it's not about me, it's about a conversation with you, but I have to share this. The biggest mistake we are making is that we never talk enough about how we felt about things with people like yourselves when they're still with us. And today I want to use this opportunity. You didn't even know that there was a young man like me. Of course, I'm much younger, growing up at my village in Hammarskraal. You know, as kids, we used to stand outside of a shebeen. There was a shebeen 3 houses from my mother's house, and we would sit there to listen to new music. You know, Burnout was one of them. And that really inspired us. I mean, 1979, thereabout, when you were with Harare, Give came out. I remember my uncle. In the 80s. Yeah, I remember my uncle wearing white pants and dancing away. And then the leather outfit, as I mentioned earlier, before we started shooting, that I remember one Christmas telling my mother, for Christmas, Mom, I want leather pants, leather boots with a side pocket. Of course, I didn't get, you know, I got school shoes. But what this did
Look at where you are now.
Exactly.
If your mom had spent the money on those frivolous stuff, you probably would not have gotten the money to go to university and be the professor.
It's true. It's true. But what it did, I will be honest with you, I said to myself, I have to work hard so that one day I can afford things. Although I never owned leather pants, and I doubt if I'll own leather pants, and that took one forward. Of course, Burnout is one of the most famous amongst many, of course, Jive Soweto and so on. I mean, when making those songs, you know, did you ever think that they would have such a profound impact on so many people? And even today, when I speak to colleagues, they talk about that. I mentioned to my wife this morning that I'm going to speak to you. And I could see if she didn't need to go to work, she would have tagged along.
You know, when we write music or songs, and I think artists in general, when we create stuff, we are always hopeful that it would have an impact on how people relate to. Now, one of the things that I once experienced was talking to a scientist.
Yes.
He had come around to where I was performing.
Yes.
And he said to me, do you guys realize the level of intellect you guys possess? Because as scientists, we'll always have books to refer to things so that we're able to advance whatever we are creating. However, with music, you guys are always creating these things and they have an indelible mark on people. And I never imagined, because, you know, when you are in a society that appreciates less of what you do as an artist, it doesn't give you the confidence to speak about the work that you do. Now that you say it, did I know that the music that I made would have had such an impact on society? Maybe I could say with Burnout, because I personally felt the song after I had recorded it. But when I started playing it to my record company people, especially someone like Peter Gallo and Ivar Halberger,
legends.
I mean, the reaction and response to the music industry was just unbelievable. And I mean, there were other artists and record companies who wanted to record the song. So coming to your question about did I know if that music would have an impact? Perhaps with hindsight, yes, I did.
Yes. Wow, this is amazing. You know, I have known that I'm not a musician, but I can imagine you probably daydreaming about a song, if I connect these, or being inspired by events, you know, and so on, and writing each note, you know, and playing, you know, you're a multi-talented musician, and playing each note, and picturing your song, and later translating that picture into something tangible, and us ending up dancing. It's really an amazing act, but we don't see this a lot these days, where computers, software, people who can't sing now are singing. There's nothing wrong, but it feels like a betrayal, you know, of what musicians, you know, who started brewing this, you know, many years ago are doing, and what is happening today. Of course, we must move with the times. What are your thoughts on what we are seeing these days, where you know, computers are mixing things and then people release things and so on.
You know, technology is a very important part of
Yes.
what we do musically, because even the recording studios, even the old recording studios, what we have to say is that they were technology.
Yes.
You know,
Of the time.
obviously, it was a technology of the time. And what we need to appreciate is young people would use available techniques or technology to quickly advance what they are doing. And I don't like the idea that as a different generation of music, we feel custodianship of what music should be about. Young people should be allowed to explore, and those who fall by the cracks because they're not musicians will be exposed in the long run. But there are others that would still be in there and will create music and advance music accordingly. It is a world of commercialization, and the quicker people make things and generate interest and material from those experiences should be allowed. However, we always believe, personally, I believe that young people should advance themselves beyond technology. You know, because the foundation of knowing and understanding the fundamentals of music and the rudiments is very critical for longevity. Because if you choose to become a musician or an artist and you don't engage in the knowledge, the foundations of creating that music, somewhere along the way you're going to fall.
That's true.
You're going to miss out because you have not laid the foundation for all that stuff.
No, that is true. You know, I liked it when you mentioned words such as longevity. A chancer will not last, but somebody with true talent who appreciates the craft, you know, will remain evergreen, like yourself, you know.
Like Hugh Masekela, like Mary Makeba, Jonas Bwangwa, you know, the list of great musicians. And even there are some younger musicians. I mean, I always refer to people like Thandiso Mazwai,
amazing
Simply
artist,
Wedana.
Oh, amazing.
You know, there's just an incredible plethora of young people who are out there making great music.
Talking about Simphiwe Dan and other great artists, I was recently invited by one radio station to host a show.
Wow.
I enjoyed that.
So you're a DJ?
Sort of. Look, I had aspirations to be a DJ, but as I progressed academically and professionally, my wife said, no, you can't be a professor and a DJ, so I left it at that. And that moment,
why not?
She thought these things don't mix.
They do.
You know, she thought I'll always be touring and not being at home, and I thought, no, let me leave it. But on that occasion, I was so happy to have done this. I feel so privileged. They asked me to choose 2 songs.
If Balula can be a DJ, why not you?
But you have to know, you have to hear the 2 songs that I chose, that I played. One was my favorite. When I hear this song play, and when I play it, you know, it brings tears to my eyes because it makes me think of my mother. The song you recorded featuring Miriam Makeba, Mama.
Wow.
And then the second one, which I played, was Simphiwe Dana, Maine. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. But tell me, Tava Vusiu is also one of the songs. I mean, the instruments you have incorporated there, you know, you did it in such a way that I've never had any recording musician incorporating this instrument. I think it's a traditional instrument at the beginning.
Yabasutu, yes.
Yabasutu, yeah. But what inspired that?
You know, what the Yabasutus always say, you know, Hotstix, Ntoye saying, you've taken our music, you know, traditional music, and placed it at another level.
Yeah, I agree with
you.
They
had musicians like Frank Liepa, Sanko Mota. They had great musicians in the suit, but never at some stage did they think they have this. But you see, when you link music with a level of consciousness, it becomes a different approach.
I agree with you.
Now, I am a black consciousness adherent.
Yes.
And the period of the groundswell and growth of black consciousness was a period of inspiration for us. To look to ourselves for the kind of music or kind of things, work that would do. And in the 80s, when we had the show with you, Miriam, you know, they came to Southern Africa for the first time. I went to the villages.
Yeah.
When I used to tour with my band,
Yes.
one of the first things that I'd do, I'd be looking for traditional music of whatever country I would be in. And lisiba
Yeah.
was one of those instruments I fondly felt I needed to work with at some stage.
Yeah.
I even took some of the American musicians to the village who were working with you just to listen to this instrument. And I thought at some stage I would hear Rene McLean with his great saxophone playing this song, but he didn't.
Wow.
And I felt when I get the opportunity to do it, Thabo Bosiu
No.
would be the result.
There's nothing like Thabo Bosiu. This morning I was speaking to one of my homeboys, back at my village, Johannes Machai.
You keep referring to Hammanskraal as a village. Is it a village?
No, Hammanskraal is
It's a township.
There's a township, but the rural
areas
village. We just say Hammanskraal so that you have a sense where one is coming from. There are a number of villages, but I must say they are not villages like those that you see on the telecom advert, where one house is there, another house is there. But growing up there...
The homesteads.
No. So I was speaking to my homeboy this morning, and I said, hey, homeboy, I'll be speaking to Ntate Hotstix Mabuse. What do you want me to say to him? He said, homeboy, please tell him. His words were, thank him for his inspirational music. He also asked me to tell you that your music gave us hope and most importantly, made us happy as children. And we didn't have a lot, but just your music. And I thought I should share with you on this. I want to move on to education. I know education is close to your heart. And one of the things you did at the ripe age of 60, you went back to the classroom and you didn't cut corners. You could have went through correspondence or whatever they call it these days, but you went straight. Please talk to us about this.
Yeah, of course, when you, I think it should be understood that we started our musical journey when we were students. We were students at high school, and I think the environment in which we operated was quite inspirational because we had great headmasters. Our headmaster, Dr. S.K. Matsike, was himself a composer. He was a choral music composer. We had headmasters like T.W. Kambule. These gentlemen were critical in how we would develop our thinking around education. And we dropped out. We did not deliberately drop out. It was incidental because when we started moving to one country and another country, and we suddenly found ourselves out of class. We had not prepared ourselves. We thought, no, we were just going and then we'll come back to school. And SK would always be saying, listen, I love what you guys do. Don't bunk school. Please come to school. Why? Because even the media at the time referred to us as the students of Orlando West High School. So that remained indelible in my mind. And when I decided, I always, and some of my friends, most of my friends were academics and were in, and I thought, okay, how do I engage in conversation with some of these people if I don't actually exercise or go back to school? I went to an adult education center. I said, I am enrolling. I said, what? I said, I'm enrolling. I want to complete my matric because I dropped out before I could. They were all like, they called each other and said, what's going on here? Why is he doing this? And you know what was very interesting? I found young people in my classroom. Some of them were young enough to be my grandchildren. And the teachers were young enough to be my children. But I think it was important for me to bring myself to the level, to humble myself, go into class, and I sat in the classroom. And of course, the classrooms at the time suddenly were different to what I left 40 years ago. And I had to say to the because there were cell phones and people were cell phones were ringing in the class, and I got confused
Yeah.
as to, okay, has education changed?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Am I going to achieve or attain what I've come here for? And I raised my hand and I said to the teacher, could I please be the class monitor?
Wow, wow, incredible.
And all the kids started laughing. I said, class monitor. That
Class monitor.
This old man wants to be a class monitor. What is a class monitor? I said, no, guys, listen. Someone has to bring order. And I think I can do that. I'm old enough to be, to be instructive.
Right.
And I said, no one is going to make phone calls during a lesson because I'm here to study and all of us. Guess what? Things changed.
Wow.
I went in, I wrote my exams. It was studying, but was quite difficult because I had to remind myself on how to study and so on. And I persevered. And voila.
The rest is
history. I got my metric.
Wow, congratulations. This is amazing.
I could have done better.
Yeah.
But I think what is important is that I did pass my metric. And was I looking for straight A's? I'm not sure. I was looking for my metric certificate. Yes.
And everybody was congratulating you. Of course, it's a good thing, and very inspirational. I remember South African Parliament congratulating you, the then president congratulating you, us sitting there in awe and say, wow, it can be done. And it's not just to you, it was about metric, but I'm sure there are many other people out there who have that thing that they think, can I go back and do this?
You know, Prof, saying this, like yesterday, I went into a shopping mall and I meet this guy. He comes to me and says, thank you. I went back to school because I saw you. Professor Zeksimda. You know him?
Yeah, I know him.
He's
a regular visitor here. Yeah, he's a friend of
sent me a note to say, my daughter wants to invite you to her graduation.
Wow.
Because when she saw that you had gone back to do your metric, she was motivated. She went back to school, and she'd really love you to come. And I thought, wow. I didn't realize that going back was going to motivate a lot of people. Of course, people were, were just imagining the success that I had made. But that success for me was just material. But was it academic? Was it inspiring? Was it motivating others to do the same? I don't know. Yes, maybe as a musician, I do inspire those who want to be musicians. But how many people could I safely say I influenced or inspired to become academics? Wow, I get surprised when I get these calls.
Wow.
It's a contribution. We all have a responsibility to our society to make our little contribution. And if that has inspired a lot of people to go back to school, that
is amazing. I mean, I'm a professor of law and vice chancellor now, but I also have things. It may not be in the educational space that I feel if I had time, or if I made time, I would pursue this and that, And what you did inspires me that one day I must, irrespective of how old I will be at that stage, to go back. One of them is DJing. I hope I'll be the oldest DJ, but really that is close to my heart.
But please don't play the music of your generation because the young people will be saying, that you hold on, please.
I'll choose and be relevant. And another thing that, I lived in Munich, in Bavaria, for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, working there for 3 years.
I worked there as well.
Did you?
I toured there.
Yeah, amazing place, isn't it?
The Germans were just
disciplined.
Zugabe, Zugabe,
Zugabe. Wow, it's incredible. So during that 3 years, I was planning to learn how to brew beer. Bavaria and Germany are known for their beer brewing skills.
Tell me about it.
And I never had time. And I say I must make time because when I retire one day, my long-term dream is to open a small restaurant, but with an in-house brewery that I would be the brewmaster.
Oh, wow.
And then have great beer.
Excellent.
Have good tea. Sorry, coffee lovers. Okay, also good coffee. And have daily good newspapers from all over the world, have a cigar parlor for those who want cigar,
Yes.
and where people who want to unwind and exchange ideas can meet, you know, and exchange ideas. The aim is not to make money,
And
but
books.
and books.
Books.
Books are extremely important. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
For people to come and exchange ideas, the aim is not to make money, but as a hobby, and it must be profitable, I said to myself. So I still have things to do. But you know, we were dreamers growing up, you know, and one thing that I wanted to ask you is, what would be your message to that child, you know, like me growing up at my village where people thought will amount to nothing? Somebody who may be thinking of giving up today, say life is tough, I'm growing up in a squatter camp, I'm growing up in this village, there's no hope for me. I dreamt about going to the big cities, you know, and making it, you know.
Wow.
And affording small things. It may sound stupid. I remember I couldn't afford chomp. I love chomp, this chocolate chomp, and I couldn't afford it. And of course, your music. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your music and other people, mentors and so on. What message would you share today to that young man that may be struggling even here at the university, saying, will I get there?
I always say it's doable.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
Yeah.
It requires resilience.
Yeah.
And you must be purposeful.
Yes.
Once you have those, then you realize that, you know what? You know, Nelson Mandela always says, it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
to advance yourself.
Yes.
And those who are ambitious enough, it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Yes. Yes.
I started as a drummer,
Yes. Yes.
right? And there are other people who played other instruments. And in our field, you know, you're always sometimes criticized for going outside what is, you know, considered your space.
Yeah. Wow.
But I've always been a curious person because I felt it's not impossible.
Yeah.
I started learning how to play a piano because I needed to.
Yes.
To learn how to play the piano, to compose songs like the ones that you love so much.
Yes.
And some of the pianists will say, are you a pianist?
Wow.
And I'll be saying, no, I'm a drummer.
Wow.
But how do you, I said,
Yeah, Hotstix. Drum
yes.
Hotstix.
Yes. And because of my curiosity, I started playing the flute.
Yes.
And guys who played flute would be saying, are you a flute player? I said, well, I'm studying classical flute.
Wow. Wow.
And with the saxophone, of course, it was really incidental because most of the music like Jive, Soweto, Shikisha, and so on had saxophone. And I was constantly finding it difficult to retain a particular musician, saxophone, people like Kaya, Masango, Makoy, Kubata. And I was always changing guys to come and play. And I thought to myself, it's not impossible. It's possible. I can do it.
Yeah.
And the point I'm trying to illustrate is that it's possible.
Yeah.
It's never impossible.
Wow.
You know, when you look at how people achieved and attained, give yourself an example.
Yes. People wrote
You are
us
from
off.
you are from a village.
Yeah.
Here you are today running
Yeah.
one of the top universities around the world. Because you never gave up on yourself and said it's not possible to do. I know people who come from the most difficult, dire, you know, situations. A few years ago, there was a director general in the science and technology, Ngaba.
Yeah.
He took us to Cape Town, where we were introduced to scientists.
Yeah.
You won't believe most of the scientists who came out there were from rural village, rural, like deep. Some of them in Venda, some of them in
Our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Chilizi Marwala.
Exactly, you know, exactly. I mean, I looked at these people and I thought, well, and it's possible. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
You just have to have the the will
Yeah.
to, you have to be driven by a sense of purpose that you want to achieve that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's not impossible. You have to remain curious. And if I may add, it's not about where you're coming from. It's about where you're going.
Exactly.
People give up easily.
Yeah. No.
And people remain entitled and so on.
Yes.
And
yeah.
one thing that struck me about you, on the evening you received the Ellen Kuzoyo Award, I wanted to ask you for a photo. And that I didn't want to be too much, And you came to me and said, I'll be honored if I could have a photo with you. You're my star, I'm starstruck, but I felt, your humility. Today, people, and I'm generalizing, but in my limited experience, often arrogance is seen as a sign of, being sophisticated and so on. And when I look at you, I say, a lot of people can learn from your humility. I'm also a humble person, and I see often when people mistake my humility to stupidity or not knowing anything. People come to me looking for the vice chancellor because I'm humble and do those things. Later when I say, yes, I'm the vice chancellor. and even when I was dean, people come looking for the dean. The people I greeted at the reception area and they didn't respond back. And not that I was wearing my labu-labu, no.
Yeah.
Because they expect somebody who would come and pompous and arrogant.
I know.
And I think a lot of people can learn from your humility.
Thank
and
you.
Ntate Mabuse, we are going through a difficult time. We can't ignore this, load shedding and many other things. I mean, when you were brewing this music during your time, it was also tough in other ways.
Yes.
But you and your peers and many others persevered and produced amazing music that brought happiness to millions of people, myself included. Now, going through this difficult time that we are going through as a country, what message of hope are you able to share, if there is any, with those that are watching, high tea with the Vice Chancellor at the University of Johannesburg?
Yes. Central to the point you've just made, you spoke about hope.
Yes.
And I think that should be central to all of us.
Yes.
I always believe we always have to live with hope.
Yes.
We must always be hopeful in everything that we do.
Yeah.
We should not consider those who are in authority in terms of politics.
Yes.
Are necessarily the people that must give us hope.
Yes.
We will create that hope for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because the unfortunate part about the scope of those who are supposed to give us this hope is limited. As to whether they hold the same values as ourselves, that remains a big question. However, as a people that have learned from the past experience, we must remember that there were people who were in prison.
Yes. Wow.
And one thing they always said, Nelson Mandela and his peers would say, we lived with hope.
Yeah.
And that hope is what will bring us freedom.
Yeah.
So I always believe that hope is our only source of strength.
Yeah.
That we will overcome whatever the challenges that this country is faced with, whether it's by politics or through, our endurance and resilience.
Yeah.
But I am just hopeful that this country, we have no other.
Yeah.
This is the only country that we have.
Yeah.
We will visit other countries,
Yes.
but they will never be our homes.
Yeah.
So we have to make that choice, the decisions that we are going to make it work for all of us.
Wow. Thank you so much. I always say, when you give up, then you are as good as dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like what you say. This is the only country we've got. We can visit others, but we'll always come back to our home. And
Absolutely.
We owe it to ourselves to make it a better country.
Absolutely.
Not only for us, but also for future generations.
For future generations.
And
yes.
then we must learn from our mistakes. Ntate Mabuse, thank you so much for brewing tea with me.
Thank you, Prof.
And reflecting on your amazing music. and your impressive contribution in many other ways, directly and indirectly. I mean, the inspiration that you provided, you didn't climb on top of a hill and say, I want to inspire the people, but by leading by example, without holding a particular office, you inspired many of us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there is indeed a strong connection between music and tea. As Aidan Miles Jimson put it, to help pass time and stay positive, workers will sing local songs while plucking tea. The story that a song takes the listener on can expand or compress. Many tea drinkers use tea to calm down and think, to get away from the trials and tribulations that the world has to offer. Tea slowly consumes one's present in the process of pouring and steeping, allowing for the present moment to expand in a similar way that music evokes. Thanks for watching High Tea with the VC. I'm Letlokwa Mpedi, Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Johannesburg. Pula. Thank you so much.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.